Welcome to today's episode, where we're diving deep into an important issue affecting marine life in the South Atlantic. We're exploring the effectiveness of marine protected areas, particularly focusing on dolphins and whales in Brazil. The oceans are facing unprecedented pressures from human activities. From shipping lanes bustling with traffic to oil and gas exploration, our oceans are under siege. The repercussions of these activities extend far beyond just the immediate area. They impact marine biodiversity on a global scale. One of the primary tools we have to combat this decline is the establishment of marine protected areas, or MPAs. But are these areas truly safeguarding the wildlife that relies on them? Researchers from Brazil set out to answer this critical question, focusing specifically on two key species, the Bride's whale and the bottlenose dolphin. These creatures are non-migratory, meaning they spend their entire lives in the same regions, making them particularly vulnerable to human impacts. The researchers wanted to identify the critical habitats that these species depend on for survival and assess whether the existing marine protected areas are positioned in the right locations to offer adequate protection. In their study, the research team utilized spatial analysis techniques known as species distribution models. They gathered thousands of occurrence records for Bride's whales and bottlenose dolphins and cross-referenced this data with various environmental factors that influence these species' habitats, such as water temperature, depth, and food availability. The results revealed that southeastern Brazil is a preferred habitat for both species, particularly in shallower, nutrient-rich waters along the continental shelf. However, there's a significant caveat. This region, while biologically important for dolphins and whales, is also economically vital for Brazil. It hosts major activities in the Santos and Campos basins, where new oil reserves have been discovered. In fact, when the researchers overlaid their map of critical habitats with a map of human activities, they found that the areas where Bride's whales and bottlenose dolphins thrive coincided almost perfectly with zones of intense human activity. This overlap is alarming. Although Brazil has made strides in expanding its conservation efforts by designating 4 large marine protected areas, the effectiveness of these MPAs is highly questionable. A separate global study evaluated the effectiveness of marine protected areas around the world, and the results pointed to a troubling reality. Most of Brazil's designated protected areas allow activities that conflict with biodiversity conservation. In southeastern Brazil, many of these marine protected areas are coastal and don't encompass the marine habitats where Bride's whales and bottlenose dolphins are most frequently found. The oceanic protected areas that were created often don't overlap with the critical habitats for these species either, tending to be located in regions that don't experience significant human conflict. This raises an urgent question. Are governments protecting the right places? Are they overlooking the critical biodiversity hotspots and conflict zones that require immediate attention? The threats to these magnificent marine mammals are numerous. The constant risk of ship strikes looms large. Dolphins and whales must come to the surface to breathe, and in regions with heavy vessel traffic, the chances of collisions increase significantly. Additionally, the incessant noise pollution from ship engines and oil exploration disrupts their communication, navigation, and foraging behaviors. Entanglement in fishing nets is another pressing issue, particularly in areas with intense fishing activity. This not only leads to bycatch, where non-target species are unintentionally caught, but also poses a risk of injury or death for the dolphins and whales themselves. Furthermore, pollution from ports and potential oil spills can compromise the health of these animals, weakening their immune systems and making them more susceptible to disease. The findings from this research serve as a wake-up call. Simply creating marine protected areas is not sufficient. It's essential that these areas be strategically placed in locations where species are most vulnerable. There's an urgent need to rethink conservation strategies in Brazil, emphasizing not just the expansion of protected areas, but also the quality of protection they provide. The research team suggests specific management measures to alleviate conflicts between human activities and marine wildlife. For instance, reducing ship speeds in high-traffic areas could significantly decrease the risk of collisions with whales. Implementing fishing exclusion zones and utilizing acoustic deterrents could help prevent dolphins from getting entangled in fishing nets. Importantly, these measures must be applied in areas where exposure to threats is highest to truly make a difference in conservation efforts. Balancing biodiversity protection with ongoing economic activities presents a complex challenge, but the researchers have provided valuable insights and a map that can guide future conversations about marine conservation in Brazil. In conclusion, protecting our oceans and the incredible creatures that inhabit them is more pressing than ever. The research highlights the critical need for targeted conservation efforts that take into account both ecological needs and human activities. It's a delicate balance, but with the right strategies in place, we can work towards a future where dolphins and whales thrive alongside sustainable economic practices. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of marine conservation, and we hope you'll tune in next time for more stories about our planet and its wildlife.